Hi everyone, today we're going to go over a singleton design pattern in a multi-threaded environment. Um, our language of choice is Java, but these principles can be applied to other languages as well. Many of you probably heard of a singleton design pattern, but let me quickly mention it, what it is, so that everybody on the same page. So the singleton design pattern is the pattern when you want to make sure that there is only one instance of a class is present in your program. So this could be some handles to the devices, some handles to sockets, so stuff like that. Let's look at an example here. So this is our Java class called Singleton, where we have a member variable, which is in itself Singleton. And this member variable is static. Also, as you can see, we mark our constructor private so that no other place out there outside of this class can create this object of this class. So then this is most important function here. It's called getInstance. It's a static function that returns the singleton object. This is the only function that can create this object because, as I said mentioned before, our constructor is private, right? So it has to be something inside of a class that can create it. Okay, so this function, what it does, it checks if an instance was initialized or not. If it's not initialized, then it will create this instance. If it was already initialized, it will just return. So basically what it does is on the first call, you want to initialize the instance. On any subsequent calls, you just want to return what you already have. So this all looks good, right? In a single-threaded environment, this will work as expected. As soon as you start adding threads to it, you might have some troubles here. So for example, let's say our thread comes in the first time to this function, and it checks this instance, whether it's initialized or not. And if it's not initialized, it comes here. So let's say between the check-in and coming to the line 8 here to create the object, our thread gets interrupted, right? So then when our first thread gets interrupted, there might be some other thread that gets scheduled that also comes into this function, does the check, says, okay, so instance is not initialized because our previous thread was interrupted right after this. So he goes, okay, so that means instance is not initialized, so let me create the instance. He creates the instance, and then it returns, right? So then our first thread wakes up over here, right after this statement. It already checked if the instance was initialized or not, right? So it doesn't know that instance was already initialized by the second thread. So then it creates a second instance of the class singleton, and returns again. So now we have the situation where we create a singleton twice, right? Even though threads don't even know about each other. So what do? The simplest way to fix it is to mark this function synchronized, like this, choosing synchronized keyword. What this will do, it will make sure that there is no more than one thread can enter this function at the same time. All right, so in most of the cases, that's probably fine, right? But what's the issue here? So the problem here is that the only time we actually need synchronized is when the first time we enter this function, right? We don't need to synchronize this function anymore. I'm sure many of you know that synchronize is actually a very expensive mechanism, especially if you have more than one function in the class that is synchronized, because synchronization uses the class level locks. So it's kind of expensive overhead to do what we do here. I mean, of course, it depends, right? Like, let's say if you call get instance only very few times, they'll probably be fine. But if you call the get instance many times, it's a necessary penalty. So how do we fix this, right? So the simplest way to fix it is to remove all of that mess and just initialize the function right here, the singleton right here, during the static initialization. So what this will do is just the process startup, it will initialize the singleton, and that's it. And then you just return it, right? This will probably cover 99% of your cases. Most of the time, this will work for you, no problem. You can just stop watching this video and go do something else, right? The problem with this approach is that this guarantees the initialization of a singleton every time. What if you not always need the singleton? What if your program only creates this instance only when it handles some condition that is very rare? And what if the singleton is actually very expensive it requires very expensive allocation, right? Let's say you have to send a signal somewhere to Mars or something. So in this case, you actually do it every time you start the process. Basically, there could be situations where you don't want to initialize the instance right away. So what do you do then? All right, let's enter our last topic called double check locking. All right, so let's see. Let's remove this static initialization here. Let's modify our function again. Notice this time we're not gonna mark it synchronized. What do we do inside? We'll do first the same check if instance is not initialized. Okay, so this is our first check, right? And why this method called double check locking is because we're gonna do second check. But the second check we'll do in a synchronized block. So we do synchronized on Singleton class. Okay, and inside of the synchronized block, since we know that there is no two threads can enter this block, we do another check on the instance, whether instance was initialized or not. Okay, and if we know now that the instance is not initialized inside of a synchronized block, at this point we know for sure that nobody initialized this instance in any other thread. So only now we can do Singleton. Okay. Here we go. This is our double check locking. This is our lock first, and then the lock second. Check. Check twice. All right. In this case, you'll make sure that no other thread will come and initialize this twice. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I hope you liked the video. Please like it and subscribe to our channel, and stay single out there. Thank you.